This is Nvda on the 5-minute time frame. Here are your price targets for Thursday. We ended the day at $117.02, up a whopping 12.81%. Congratulations if you've made money off of this ticker. This is where we are. To the north side takes us to resistance and a potential take profit area at 119.83-ish. Above that, at another take profit area, 123.75, and at 4 standard deviations, roughly 127.80. To the south side, VWAP is at 115.30 in the blue. The middle of the trend and the baseline, 111.83. This gap forms to the south side starting at roughly 110.78. Closes out at roughly -2 standard deviations, 104.22. Below that, at another level of support and another potential buy-in area, 99.97. And we close out, well, the standard deviations, -4 at 95.83. And this puppy to the south side takes us to 94.96. We are going sideways on the 5-minute time frame. I'll flip it over to the 15 in a second to see if it's also going down or going sideways. Now, you can see there was a bounce down here at supports. I'm going to anticipate a sell-off actually to close out this gap and then possibly go back down because that will be resistance once we hit this area. And then fall somewhere along the middle of the trend. And as you can see, I've marked this out many times. All of these gaps have closed to the south side. And then we have this one that will take us to 67.61. Not in the channel, not in the zone, not even close, just something to be aware of. And to the south side, what else do we have going on? You can just see that we are retracing up. So we went up here and now just slowly going down on the 15. So on the 5, we're going sideways. On the 15, still going down. And then that gap right here. But I don't think I'm tracking anything else to the upside at this moment. Oops. Yeah, no other gaps that I'm aware of. I'm sure there are just smaller ones, but I don't track this every day. So I'm sure I've missed many. Now that's Nvda. The next one I want to go over is CrowdStrike. Poor CrowdStrike. We are bleeding out here. And I'm going to go over the 5-minute time frame as well and give you price targets. But I want to thank Murat for pointing out CrowdStrike to me. And he says that he's considering, or what do I think about dollar cost averaging on this ticker? The RSI on the weekly is low, possibly bottoming out. And obviously the stock is down massively. So let's break it down. We ended the day at 231.96, down 0.72%. Not too bad compared to the 30 and the whatever percentage we've been down. So the day's range is 228.21, the high 236.91, the low 140.52, the 52-week high, 398.33. And you can see the news. There's going to be, you can bet on it, a lawsuit. And for defrauding people about the outage that occurred on July 19th that affected 8 million computers, Delta hired a high-profile attorney, and they want compensation. The share price here fell 32%, or Delta's down too there, but that's not what I meant to hit. Oops, stay on, I don't know. Okay, there we go. It's fallen 32% over the They said CrowdStrike's share price fell 32% over the next 12 days, wiping out $25 billion of market value. So is this worth dollar cost averaging if you bought in higher? This company, I don't think, is going to go anywhere. Kathy Wood from ARK Invest is buying. She's buying the dips. I looked up the institutional shares. 45% of the 45% of the shares are owned by institutions and large companies. And I feel like this is where Boeing was. And at least nobody died with CrowdStrike. 236 people died when Boeing's 2 planes crashed. You'll never get those people's lives back. And then, not to mention the deaths of the whistleblowers and all the stuff that happened to Boeing. And look at Boeing now. It did go up, and I do own Boeing. And I've always said heads should roll with Boeing. They did. They need to get rid of everyone that was involved. This is the same with CrowdStrike. Heads need to roll. They need new management. They need a new CEO. All the people that were part of the team that did the rollout. I mean, it's just a fiasco. But where there's a fiasco is opportunity. You have to be able to weather the storm and know that, it's going to take a while. It could be considered dead money, but you can trade this, obviously, as a day trade, swing trade, and don't put too much into it because this is so fresh. We have to get out of this, and we're not even out of this yet. We're not out of the woods. And let's talk about price, and then let's talk about the targets and the gaps to the upside and to the south side. But before I get to that, let me just scroll down here. And for the week, we are down under the performance, down 14%. For the month, down 39%. Year to date, down 7%. And for the year, up 44%. Under the technicals, it's considered a sell. And under the analyst rating, considered a buy. The 1-year price target is 360.32. Obviously, this changes, so you always want to pay attention to that. Go on to Tip Ranks and see what they say. And CNN Market Watch or whatever it is, they'll give you price predictions, and then just kind of look at the charts yourself and see where we could be going. But right now, still bleeding, still going south on the 5-minute time frame. Obviously, if you flip it, you're going to get different buy and sell signals. So right now, we're basically at VWAP at 232.75, so close to there. To the north side, this takes us to 242.15. A gap forms to the upside at roughly 248.15. Closes out at 258.43 roughly, lining up with 4 standard deviations. And if we get there, I definitely will anticipate another sell-off as people get whatever gains they can. They'll lock in and they will leave. And then back to the middle of the trend, 226.49. This gap fills to the south side at roughly 212.73. Close to -2 standard deviations, 210.58, 202.81, and 194.85. All right. And then there are obviously other gaps to fill to the upside as we were bleeding out, but not in the channel, not in the zone, not even close. So just take it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, mark it out so you can see if we're still in a downward channel. Now on the 15-minute, still going down as well. And on the daily, the RSI is looking great. This is definitely a buy-in area. I use this as support and resistance. Can it go down even more? Sure. But let's look left. So the lowest we've gone is currently at 17. So obviously we can still continue to bleed out. While I'm here, let's take a look at now the RSI on the weekly. As Murat has pointed out, there is still some room to go to the oversold area. And looking left, the lowest we've gone here is at 31. So just taking a look back in history, not because of what happened currently, but in history, we could definitely take it down to here and then continue to bleed as well. I don't see it turning just quite yet. The lines are not crossing. This has not crossed over. The gold line has not crossed over. Okay, but close. On the monthly, we're still, just because of the monthly chart, there's still room to go down and go south. So we are still going to bleed out on the monthly, and the lowest we've gotten on the monthly until we reach this point. Then I can go back and say, well, we've hit here. Will we continue to go and hit the technically oversold area here? And just know intuitively, if you've reached this high here and here and here and here, we're going to crack anyway. And did it just coincide with some bad news about the computer problem, the upgrades? All right, so on the monthly, as you can see, I've tracked this a long time ago with Murat at $99.53. From there to there, I know it's hard to see because of Trading View's changes. Okay, it's not me, it's Trading View. We were up there at 276% return on your money. And I know some people just hang on like I do. I just hang on, I let it ride, I don't do anything, and now I'm really seriously changing my attitude about getting out, taking profits, or just leaving my ETFs and letting that ride. And if it's an individual stock, take my profits. It will go back down. It will get beaten up. It's just a cycle. But it's hard to do that. I know, because it's hard for me to let go as well. But if I'm up here, obviously I'm not going to sell out. I don't sell out and take it as a tax write-off. I just hold out. There are many ways to make up this difference in your other tickers, your other ETFs. And that's why you have to have a basket of ETFs and stocks, bonds, whatever, real estate. One thing goes down, hopefully another doesn't. All right, so that's CrowdStrike. Did I cover the RSI? Yes. Oh, I want to show you what we're looking at on the daily, though, what the chart says. So we are still going up. I know it hasn't reversed just yet on the daily. And we are at 231 down here. Oops. 231. So look at this. Oversold. And to the north side would take us to roughly 282.17. Of course, then to the south side, there's 212, and I'm not sure about any other gaps. I have to really look at the next gap down, but I'll do that at some other point. And if I don't look at the gap, no big deal, because the standard deviations will wipe out that gap if we continue to bleed out as well. And I think that will do it for me. So that is a look at Nvda and CrowdStrike. And fingers crossed, we need to just rip off the Band-Aid, just get down to this level, and then hope for better days ahead. Have a great trading day.